Nerd morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy and you're watching the Nerd Morning Show. I have been getting a few requests from people who want to talk about comic shops. And I get it, comic shops often work a bit differently than most stores. When you go to a traditional bookstore, they're organized differently. Comic shops are unique and can feel daunting the first time you go to one. One of the reasons is because usually there's so much to see. Doing a video on all comic shops is a little tricky because every store is a little different. Most stores are privately owned and operated, so they will have some different approaches of doing things, but there are a few things that will be usually the same from store to store. And the tips and advice that I have in this video will be universal to any comic book shop. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Nerd Morning Show on YouTube for more videos like this. Okay, let's get going. To do this video, I went to the End Zone Hobby store in Clearfield, Utah. It is a big store and has tons to look at. And it has everything I think that we need to talk about and go over today. First, comic book organization. Comics are generally first organized by publishers. That is, most shops will have a DC Comics section, a Marvel Comics section, and an Independent Comics section. Independent comics are basically any that do not have the publishers of DC or Marvel. Most comic shops will have a place where they feature the new comic arrivals. They can be set up a little bit different in different stores, so don't be afraid to ask for directions. This is also my biggest piece of advice when going to a comic shop or hobby store, is to talk with the workers. They are nerds. They like this stuff. It is why they are working there. If you want a recommendation on a book or a character, don't know where to get started, don't let that stop you. The employees will likely be willing and eager to show you where something is or give you a shopping recommendation. Most comic shops will have some sort of back issue section, either in racks or boxes. These are comic issues that are not quite as new. You can often find really awesome comics and stories in those areas and are always fun to explore. The next thing a comic shop will likely have are sections for graphic novels and trade paperbacks. These are books that have collected stories from several comic issues and put them together in a nice big book. These will likely be sectioned by publisher and organized alphabetically by the character name. Some stores will have a space for new graphic novels as well. Graphic novels are a really good way to get full collected stories and is where I would recommend new comic book readers to get started. Also, you will find that comic shops will have some more expensive comics. These are often more rare. They might be special because of the amount that was printed, a first appearance of a special character, or it has a special variant cover. Another important place to know in a comic book shop is where they have their comic book care products, like bags and boards to keep your comic books safe and protected. Some stores will have something called a hold list. This is where a customer who wants to regularly buy the same comics can get a list made up of all the comics that they want to pull for them each week. For example, if a customer wants to read all the Batman, Wonder Woman, and Black Panther comics, when those comics come in, they will pull those for you and put them in a spot until you can pick them up. This is really nice, especially if the comic you want is popular and otherwise might get sold out before you can make it to the store. Often there are rules associated with this service, like you have 2 weeks to buy them after they are pulled or they go back on the shelf or something like that. Sometimes you can also get perks as a comic book holds member, like special discounts or free bags and boards for your comics that they pull for you. Each comic book store does this a little bit differently, but it's worth asking them about their comics holds program. Now this is where comic book shops start to differ the most. Most comic shops don't just sell comics. Smaller shops may only do one or two other things beyond comics, and what they are is sometimes a little different depending on the store. Fortunately, End Zone pretty much has all of these, so I can talk about them as well as show you what they might look like. They might carry products like cool statues or toys. Some stores really get into board games. Some stores might partner with companies like Lego or do sports cards. I regularly see comic shops also sell collectible card games such as Magic the Gathering. They often have a section for things like Dungeons and Dragons products and dice. Maybe they sell things like tabletop games as well. They could also be selling other products completely different than these mentioned, who knows? It's rare for a comic shop to carry all of these things at once. It happens, but it's more likely that they do 2 or 3 of these things beyond comics. check out your local comic shop to see what other cool things they might have in their store. I think it's really cool that these independent stores create this cool atmosphere that people can hang out and talk to other people with similar interests and have a place where they're able to enjoy some of the things that they really, really love. I definitely recommend you to go and check out your local comic book shop wherever that may be. Hopefully this orientation video is helpful for you to kind of know what to expect when going to a comic book shop. If you have other questions or thoughts, please put them in the comments below. That'd be really, really awesome. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys next time.